Hey, what's going on guys? It's Andy the Mad Tatter and welcome back to part 2 of June 2019 sales roundup. Sorry it's a bit late, this is actually take 2 of this video. The first time I processed this video and rendered it and everything for upload to YouTube, not only did the audio start cutting out part way through, but I also realised I'd missed 2 items off, so I'm going to redo the video again now, and hopefully it'll be a little bit slicker than the first time. So without further ado, let's get into the YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much guys for all of your continued support. I say this in every video and I do sincerely mean it every single time I say it. It doesn't have any less sincerity behind it every time I say it. I am genuinely astounded by the amount of support that I get on these videos and indeed on the channel as a whole. We're on 306 subscribers now, which is superb, and of course as always shout out to subscriber number 300, which is Divine8239. You can have the keys to any mythical kingdom of your choice, so there's a prize that money can't buy and reality can't provide for you from the Mad Tatter. So on with the items. Starting at the 16th of June, this is a pair of SFR Raptor quad roller skates, men's size 11. In really good condition, these. There wasn't a whole lot of damage or wear to them, but there wasn't any damage to them, and there certainly wasn't a whole lot of wear. Even the toe stop tilt still had all of its texturing on it, the original factory texturing, so there wasn't, you know, it's not like they've been used a lot and stopped on a lot or anything like that. I suspect they had been put away perhaps slightly damp, certainly around the wheels, because there was a little bit of surface corrosion there just on the nuts around the wheels. So I took the wheels off, gave them a good clean up with a little brass brush, cleaned up the bearings as well in the back there, and gave them all a nice coating of silicone oil, just so that they were nice. They were running nice and smooth, and you know, there wouldn't be any risk of any of that sort of surface corrosion again for the new buyer. Bought these at a charity shop up near my in-laws. It's a charity shop that I go to every time I'm up there because it's a fantastic one. I've bought quite a lot of the items that you've seen on the channel from there actually in the past. Now I think about it, certainly off the top of my head, a lot of the remotes have come from there. For instance, I think I sold us a digital TV receiver box in one of the sales roundup videos. That was from there as well. It's a really great shop, and I have quite a good sort of rapport with them when I go in. This was a pair of roller skates. I picked these up with a bundle of other stuff that I had in my arms at the time, and I just put them down on the counter and asked if I could leave them there just while I carried on shopping around. I didn't really see the price tag on them at the time, so when I got to the counter, they were £25 they had on them. And I said, oh, I'll go and put them back then, because I didn't really want to pay 25 quid for something that I wasn't 100% sure about values on and stuff like that. She said, well, we have had them for a while, and we were thinking about reducing them anyway. So she said, what, you know, make an offer. So I said, well, I wouldn't, you know, I don't want to insult anybody, but I personally wouldn't want to pay more than a tenner for them. She said, that's great, you can have them for a tenner, not a problem at all. So she did that, and also I helped them load tickets in the pricing gun, because they were having trouble doing that as well. So I loaded up their pricing gun for them, which I think just kind of, you know, just did a little favour for them. It wasn't anything that took any major time out of my day, didn't cost me any money, but they were grateful for it, so happy days. Bought for £10, did a little bit of clean up on them and a little bit of work on them, as I say, but again, not more than probably half an hour's work in total went into getting these ready for sale. Sold for £57.94, and after shipping and fees made £25.80. On the 18th of June then, no sales for the 17th, but on the 18th of June we sold the Sharp EL531WH scientific calculator. As I've said before, I've not historically done particularly well with scientific calculators, although the last two parts, the last part and this part of this video do sort of belie that slightly, because I have sold quite a few in this month, but they are something that I've had for a while. They've not flown off the shelves up until this point, so they had been listed for a good few months, I'm not going to lie. This one cost £1. Sold for £9.94, received £4.61 after shipping and fees, so again, not a massive profit in the scientific calculators. Unlike, say, the graphing calculators, which you can pick up for the sort of up to a tenner kind of mark and sell generally for sort of 30-ish pounds. The graphing calculators I'll generally always pick up, particularly sort of Texas Instruments and some of the Casio models. But the scientifics were just kind of a little experiment, really. Did get positive feedback from the buyer on that one, though, so that's always a good little bonus. You know, it kind of helps soothe the pain of not making a whole lot of money on something. And of course, as I've said before, they don't cost a whole lot to ship because they're generally thin enough to be a large letter. And when the actual outer casing there's on them, you don't need a whole lot of packaging. They'll go quite happily in a jiffy envelope or a bubble envelope. 20th of June, this was, you saw in the first part of the video, sold the green iPod Nano 7th generation. That was my iPod. Actually, a quick note on that one. I did actually receive my first ever negative feedback as a result of that sale. The item went on the global shipping program to Sweden, and I think when it was delivered, this is the impression I get anyway, when it was delivered, the buyer wasn't in. So it was taken back to a depot, but the depot that it was taken to wasn't very convenient for the buyer to get to. Other than that, they were happy with, they didn't have any criticism to make of the item or the price they paid or anything like that. Their negative feedback was specifically about the shipping. Now, the good thing about using the eBay global shipping program, and what I did in this instance was I got straight onto the eBay live chat and explained the situation to them, told them we've received this negative feedback for this item, and it's specifically in view of the delivery. And because of part of the global shipping program's guarantee, eBay then removed that negative feedback from my account. So I'm still at 100% positive feedback. There's no record of that negative feedback being on there, and because I only really got it deleted simply because it was specifically mentioning the delivery of the item, and that's what eBay's global shipping program covers. So this one's also gone on the global shipping program. This was Joe's iPod. This is the 6th generation, pink with the watch strap accessory, so you can wear it on your wrist. And to be fair, it does look a bit like the early Apple Watches as well when it's on your wrist. So there's no purchase price on this one of our own. Sold for $84.99, made $71.36 after shipping and fees. And that's another item that's gone on global shipping to Germany, who seem to buy a lot of items from me, so Dankeschön. Now, 20th of June, Animal Messenger Bag. Animal, nice brand to buy if you can pick up their stuff relatively cheaply. Certainly their accessories, their bags, their purses, things like that, they do tend to always sell. You don't always necessarily make a ton of money on them. Noticing that I've paid $7.99 for this particular bag as well is generally a bit more than I'll pay for a bag, but it was particularly nice in all fairness. Sort of a messenger type bag with a fold over top underneath the main clip down flap there, so you could kind of expand the capacity of the bag if you needed to a little bit. Good size as well, so probably ideal for like a student or something like that, carrying all their college books around in, or sort of folios and stuff like that. Paid $7.99 for this one, sold for $32.94, and after shipping and fees made $13.58. 20th of June, men's Billabong check shirt. Billabong, again, one of those brands in much the same sort of area as Animal, really. They're kind of a surfy type area of brand, if that makes sense. Yeah, sort of a surfy type brand. Think Quicksilver, think Animal, Billabong. Yeah, they all go together, very much so. I'd not sold anything by Billabong before, so I made sure when I bought this shirt, I bought this shirt because it was quite attractive to me in the first place. I liked the design of it, and it fit me as well. So if I'd never have sold this shirt for any reason, I'd have got myself a shirt out of it. So that was the way I looked at buying that one. It was a bit of an experimental one again, but I thought, hey, worst case scenario, I get a shirt for a £5. So paid £5, sold for $27.94, made $14.44 after shipping and fees, and got positive feedback from the buyer on that one too. 21st of June, series 1 to 7 DVD box sets of Smallville. If you look at the way the title's formatted on the listing there, I've put Smallville Series 1, space 2, space 3, space 4, space 5, space 6, space 7. Reason behind that is basically because anybody then searching for Smallville Series 1 will find the listing, anyone searching for Smallville Series 2 will find the listing, Series 3, etc. So that's my theory anyway. I'm not sure, that I'm not basing that on anything other than I've given it a try and it seems to possibly have worked because it got quite a lot of interest, a lot of views and stuff, and a few watches on this one before it sold. So this came from the £65 job lot bundle that I bought on a house clearance. So the total cost of this whole bundle, as I said before, the bundle cost me £65. And the number of items that I got from it, I just divided the £65 by the number of items, so each item or each listing has effectively worked out at 85p each for stuff that's come out of that bundle. So this was going to be one listing, came out of that bundle, so it got a cumulative cost price of 85p. Sold for $54.99, made $33.65 after shipping and fees, and had positive feedback from the buyer on that one. So again, another win for DVDs where, if you'd have asked me sort of 2 or 3 months ago, what I thought of selling DVDs. I'd have said, don't bother, you know, you're wasting your time. But I'm starting to find, the more I drill down into it, that there are some exceptions to this, and certainly big collections of series box sets, old British comedy, British TV, kids programs, things like that, horror films, cartoons. They do seem to do okay. So yeah, DVDs are definitely one to feel out, but you'll not make a lot of money in the sort of run up to finding the ones that do make reasonable money. 21st of June, retro Phillips Toblerone LED alarm clock. I think this was in one of my haul videos, if I remember rightly. It's literally just a little, as I've described it, Toblerone shaped alarm clock. Looks completely black when it's turned off, but when you turn it on, it illuminates the LED numbers behind. There's no radio element or anything to this. It is literally just a buzzer alarm that goes nah, 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 to wake you up. Didn't find a single one the same or similar, either listed or sold on eBay. So I got it was an item where I got a little bit brave with the price. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to try for $29.99 on it. It is unusual, but it still sort of fits with modern aesthetic to a degree. And it was quite sort of, you know, quite sleek design in many respects. So I thought, yeah, it's unusual, it's marketable in that sense, so let's be brave with the price. I put it up at $29.99. It did sit for a few weeks, not an unusual length of time. I don't think I've had probably Sony alarm clocks that have sat for longer than this one did. So yeah, it did. I think it did pretty well, in all fairness. Bought for £1, sold for $33.94, and after shipping and fees, made $23.52 on that one. 22nd of June, iPhone for Seniors 7th edition book. I've said in the past that I'm not by any means the person to speak to about selling books on eBay. I've found it very, very hit and miss, more so than DVDs and stuff, in fairness. You know, you can go and buy a book based on what you personally think might be a good idea, and just think, oh yeah, you know, that's a really lovely book, it's nicely presented, etc, etc, and you'll sit on it for ages, and then you'll buy something, you know, completely random, and case in point is this. I bought this iPhone for Seniors book, and yeah, it sold quite quickly. So paid $1.49 for that one, sold for $13.94 and made $6.44 after shipping and fees. Not a massive profit again, but then I've never made a massive profit in books. I know people who have, you know, I know of people who have, certainly, but it's never happened with me. 22nd of June still, Horrible Histories Terrible Tudors 300-piece jigsaw. The Horrible Histories and the Horrible Science series are a series of educational kids cartoons, books, and a TV show in the UK. Probably internationally as well, but I don't know about these things. And it's just sort of educational with a slightly sort of darkly comedic, borderline vulgar kind of twist. Really appeals to kids of a certain age, obviously, because of that. This is a jigsaw that I've not bought recently. I have bought a lot of jigsaws for last Christmas. They did quite well over the Christmas period, but I've still had quite a few of them listed subsequently to that, and I'll still have them listed probably until this Christmas, where they'll start moving again in you know, bigger numbers. But they do still tickle through over the course of the year. Not an item, again, that makes a huge profit, but when you're selling them in volume over Christmas, over the Christmas period and stuff like that, they do sort of come into their own for that reason. But this one costs $4.99. It's about average what I'll pay for a jigsaw. Generally, I'll get sort of 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles at that kind of price point. But this one being branded and the Terrible Tudors stuff, I didn't mind paying up a little bit for the 300-piece. Made $6.88 after shipping and fees there on that one. That was brand new and sealed as well. 23rd of June, Pink Floyd, The Collection sheet music books. Yeah, so we have a lot of music books and stuff around the house. My dad played the guitar. I used to be in a band. I was lead singer in a band for about 6 years, and always wanted to sort of be able to read music and play an instrument, etc. But as it happens, I just was able to make noise out of my face. So this was just part of a collection that I had built up with a view to sort of trying to learn to play music. And Pink Floyd are a band that I was certainly aware of. They were on the map for me because my dad was a massive fan of Dark Side of the Moon, but they really, really got sort of fired onto my radar when I was in the band, and a lot of my musical education certainly came from being in that band. I think Wish You Were Here is probably one of the best songs ever written in general, and if you're not familiar with Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, I do strongly suggest you go and listen to it very soon. So this was a collection of sheet music books. There were 4 of them in total in a nice sort of cardboard presentation box. It was an item that I owned. Like I say, it was one that was in the house. It actually had an RRP of £72 and had the original price sticker on the back. I would not have paid that for it new. I definitely know for a fact that I did not pay that for it new. I don't know what I did pay for it new, in all fairness, but I definitely won't have paid that much for it. But with it having that sticker on there at £72 and then being in sort of as new condition, I was able to sort of put it up for $49.99 quite confidently. So it sold for $58.94, and after shipping and fees made $36.05 on that one. And that's my first global shipping item going to Mexico, so Viva Mexico. Next, 23rd of June, men's Super Dry Japan Lumberjack Multi-Check shirt. Lumberjack Multi-Check is the sort of long-winded model name of this shirt. Super Dry Japan are a British company who have their clothing made in India. So there you go figure on that one. Their stuff is generally reasonably good quality. It attracts a lot of attention on eBay as well, and for all it doesn't necessarily always make a huge profit, the amount of traffic it can bring you having, and say, in my case, let's say I've got about 4 or 5 Super Dry shirts in the shop there, but I've also got a lot of shirts from other brands that have similar style and similar aesthetics to the Super Dry shirts. The amount of sort of people that have maybe come to the shop looking at the Super Dry stuff and then gone into the other items as a result of that, I do genuinely believe I've made sales as a result of people coming through looking at sort of, for instance, I've got a couple of these Super Dry check shirts on there, similar sorts, a couple of different variations on the style, but mostly long sleeve lumberjack style shirts. And I also had a diesel one on there, which I think you saw in the first part of the video. Similar style again. I'm quite confident that somebody saw those listings of the Super Dry shirts and then went looking in the shop and found the superior diesel shirt and bought that instead because it was so much nicer. So I do think it is worth sometimes having those things in your shop that can bring you traffic and you know, people go and look at your other items off the back of. Just as an example, these Super Dry shirts, and in fact a lot of the Super Dry jackets and stuff that I've had listed as well, it's not uncommon for them to pick up like 100 views overnight. You know, I can post them at sort of 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening, one evening, and then by the following morning, sort of 9 o'clock the following morning, they've got over 100 views on them, and other items that have been uploaded in the same batch might only be on sort of 30s. So they do get a lot of views very quickly. It doesn't always translate into sales of that item, but I do genuinely believe it can translate into sales in other ways. So this one cost £4, sold for £27.94 and made £15.14 after shipping and fees. Got positive feedback from the buyer on that one, who did ask us to hold off posting it for a couple of days. Explained to the buyer I was more than happy to do that because he contacted me through eBay messages and we had a record of him saying that, but I would have to mark the item out the following morning anyway as posted, because otherwise I was going to receive a late postage defect from eBay, and he was quite happy with that. And that is very much the case as well. If you've got a postage cut-off point set and you don't post in line with that, eBay and you can get an automatic defect on your eBay account from posting things too late or from marking things as posted too late. So always get in the habit of making sure things go out on time, definitely. 23rd of June again, Am Brew promotional flip-flops. Historically, always done reasonably well with promotional stuff, and promotional stuff is definitely worth looking out for. This isn't the best example at all, to be fair, but it is an example of me buying something just from thinking, oh yeah, it's promotional, I've not seen them before. You know, sometimes I get into this mindset when I'm out shopping of thinking somehow my experience is exhaustive, and it is by no means exhaustive, you know, just because I've never seen these before. I don't even drink Am Brew, so I don't know why I would, in the back of my mind, even expect to have seen them before and just pick them up on that basis. But I did. Didn't lose money on them, so, you know, no worries there. But Am Brew, it's a very famous orange soft drink. It's not orange flavoured, it's just orange in colour. very popular in Scotland, made in Scotland. There's a massive outcry recently when they talked about reducing the sugar in it. I don't know if they did reduce the sugar in it, but there wasn't a war, so I'm guessing, you know, some sort of arrangement was come to. Such is the passion of the people of Scotland for Am Brew. These cost $2.99, sold for $9.99, and made $2.62 after shipping and fees. They did actually go to Scotland as well, those. 23rd of June still, Sony audio remote RM-SCEX1. This is a cracking remote if you can ever find it. As I've said in the past, Sony remotes are probably some of the best ones to get in the mass market ones that you'll find out there. Drilling that down a little bit further, Sony audio remotes are the cream of the Sony remotes, simply because well, to be honest with you, I don't really know. I was going to say simply because and give you a reason, but I don't know why they do so much better than, say, the TV systems or things like that. This one, I do know for a fact, is compatible with a lot of different units. So a lot of the sort of late 90s to kind of mid 2000s, I think, mini hi-fi systems, this remote is compatible with a lot of those. So popular for that reason, and probably desirable for that reason. But at the time I listed this, I was the only UK seller that had one as well. The only other ones out there were international. So I was able to put this one up for $29.99 with a cost of 30p. So total selling price was $33.94. That includes the shipping, and then after shipping and fees, we made $25.03 profit on that one. So that's an absolutely cracking remote, and definitely one to look out for. Of course, you know, always look out for the higher end audio system remotes as well. So if you're looking at things like, for instance, Bose, Denon, Marantz, those types of brands, Bang & Olufsen, they do incredibly well, and they are the sort of premium cream of the crop remotes to look out for, but they do come up quite rarely, certainly in my experience anyway. Sticking with the 23rd of June, another item of my wife's. This was a Lakeland fine leather handbag. Lakeland's a British company out of the Lake District, as the name would suggest. Very well known for quality leather products, leather jackets, gloves, hats, accessories, bags, belts, you name it, leather-wise, within the sort of scope of stuff that people would, you know, use on the streets, not necessarily in any sort of more nefarious ways. I've gone completely off topic there now, talking about leather. Yeah, so they're famous for leather products, very high quality leather, very fine leather, soft leather, nice quality of fit and finish on everything as well. Nicely sort of appointed, nice hardware on them. Just quality throughout, really. This was an owned item, sold for $33.94. Took a best offer on that one, and after shipping and fees, made $24.52 and received positive feedback from the buyer. 23rd of June again. This was a car boot pickup. Can't remember if I did a video on it or not. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I seem to think I didn't now, to be fair, but anyway. JVC compact VHS camcorder. This was basically brand new. I saw it on a guy's stall at a car boot, and he had quite a lot of really good stuff, and if I ever see him again and I've got some more cash on me, I'll definitely be sort of picking a few more bits up from him. But on the day, I literally had sort of 20 quid left in my pocket, and he wanted 15 for this, so I had to go for it. It was all brand new, factory sealed. There was some damage to the box, so we opened it up just to make sure that everything inside was okay, and we did power the camera up as well for the purposes of the photographs, which we do with everything, just so that people can see it working before they buy it. So everything was, like I say, factory sealed inside. The battery, took that out of the factory bag, put it on the camera, and there was still factory charge in there from probably the kind of mid-2000s, I would say, by the age of the camera. Couldn't find a single one similar or sold, and certainly not a new one or anything like that. So I thought, okay, let's be brave on the price with this one as well. And this was $129.99 this one went up for, with $9.95 postage. So it sold for $139.94. After shipping and fees, made $96.88. And received positive feedback from the buyer. The buyer acted really quickly on this one, actually. He sent me a message asking if the camera was capable of recording in black and white and colour, and I said, yes, it is. And no sooner had I sort of clicked send on that message to reply to him than he bought it, basically. So that was a really quick sale, only listed for a few days as well. Got tons of views, tons of watchers, sold quickly, and made a good profit. It's kind of like the perfect example of what you want from an eBay sale, really. 25th of June, so no sales on the 24th. Santoro Gorgeous Ruby Money Box. This again is part of Jo's collection. She's clearing out some of the stuff that she's collected over the years because she wants to start some new projects making some items. So she needs a bit more space in the house, and obviously it's going to come in handy buying, having a bit more cash for materials and whatnot. So this is another owned item. I've spoken about the Gorgeous range before and my sort of limited knowledge of it, but my wife's relative encyclopedic knowledge of it, so always handy to draw on her knowledge for these sort of items as well, even on stuff that I've bought to resell. This was a resin cast money box of a character called Ruby. The character's now discontinued, and this is considered a rare item as well. I say the character's discontinued. It's discontinued in this form. Now this doesn't make any sense. This makes no sense to me at all. Let's see if it makes any sense to you. The character's called Ruby and is famous for having this red dress and a cat. They've kept the character. Now bear in mind, she's called Ruby and she wears a red dress. They've kept the character. They've done away with the cat. Now, all right, say what you want about doing away with the cat, fair enough. She's now got a yellow dress. She's called Ruby, and she's got a yellow dress now. Oh? I don't understand. So anyway, yeah, that's a bit of an aside into that. I don't get that. See if you can explain that one. I can't. Anyway, so owned item, sold for $44.94, made $34.14 after shipping and fees, went on global shipping to France, and since shooting this, actually, we've had positive feedback off that buyer as well, on how well packaged the item was and everything. So, because obviously it was going to France and it's quite a fragile item, I actually packaged the life out of it. Sticking with the 25th, Panasonic cordless telephones. Car boot sale, pick up these. Your cordless house phones tend to sell quite well, particularly if they're a good modern design, fairly sleek like these. This was the main base station and extension line with an answering machine and all the cables, etc. Didn't have the original box or paperwork or anything, but let's be honest, it's a phone. Cost £3 at the car boot, sold for $28.94 after shipping and fees, made $18.72, and had positive feedback from the buyer on that one. I think you can just about see on the camera there as well. Just showing items powered up in pictures is something that I'm very sort of fond of doing, just so that people can, as I said before, see them working beforehand. Justice League Superman action figure. This was a very early shot at retail arbitrage for me. Retail arbitrage being buying items from retail stores and selling them on for a profit. For those that don't know, I always try to give the definition of that one, because when I first heard it, when I was sort of getting into reselling in the early days, I couldn't sort of deduce what that term meant, and I didn't want to go Googling it. So there you go. Yeah, early retail arbitrage buy. Bought these just after Christmas 2018. They were massively reduced in my local Asda, so down to $3.49. Bought a few different figures. This is the first one that I've sold, so this was kind of one of my typical retail arbitrage. I wouldn't say fails, because it's not lost money, but yeah, it's not gone out very quickly. And I've got a couple of other figures up there as well that have had, you know, similar sort of experience. Well, I say similar, they've not sold, so it's not similar in any way, is it? Anyway, cost $3.49, sold for $15.94, and after shipping and fees made $5.91, and it's another one that's gone on global shipping to Germany. Dankeschön. 26th of June, men's Timberland Merino wool jumper. I don't know if you remember, a couple of months ago you saw in one of my sales roundup videos that I sold a Timberland men's padded jacket that I'd got from the Cheshire Oaks designer outlet. This is another item from that same shopping trip. The good thing about this item was it was on final clearance in the outlet store, so it was massively reduced, really. It had the outlet store price ticket on it, which said RRP £90 and then our price £60, and on the final clearance rail when I took it to the till it was 20 quid. So I was able to use the actual price ticket to my advantage rather than, you know, having to remove it or anything like that. So I left the price ticket on it, put it up at $59.99, still made a reasonable return on it. So this is kind of a bit of a retail arbitrage win for me in that respect, and you know, the Timberland jacket was as well. So I've done okay out of Timberland and Nike on retail arbitrage. Total profit after shipping and fees $26.55, and had positive feedback from the buyer on that one. Again, went with also did go with the theory of if it doesn't sell, it'll fit me. So I kind of had a backup plan for that one anyway. Again, 26th of June. CocaCola FIFA 2006 World Cup glass. These are very collectible in general. A lot of the Coca-Cola glasses and the McDonald's glasses, the Olympics glasses, things like that. They do have a pretty good collector's market. They're not massively profitable or high value items by any stretch, and they can be a bit twitchy to send in the post. but luckily this one did have its original box, so that made life a little bit easier. Paid 50p for this one at a car boot, sold for £9.94 and made £3.83 after shipping and fees. 27th of June, men's Lacock Sportif trainers. This was a very early purchase of mine from a car boot. They were brand new and unworn. You could tell they'd never really touched the ground, these shoes, and the stickers inside on the insoles, there wasn't any evidence of any kind of sock being stuck to them or anything like that. So these shoes had definitely never been worn. So I sold them as new without the box. They've been listed since probably September, October 2018, so they've been listed a good while, not gonna lie. But I've never dropped the price on them. I put them up at $34.99 to begin with, and I've never dropped the price. So they did finally sell at the price I wanted for them. Granted, I've had to sit on them for a few months, but hey, small price to pay, I guess. Total profit after shipping and fees, £21.81, and these went on global shipping to Spain. 28th of June, Lego ChimaAquila Set. This again is another sort of one of those early buys that I picked up on the basis of watching YouTube videos and being sort of led by what other resellers were doing, or resellers that I saw as being more successful than I could be. So everybody was saying, oh, Lego this, Lego this, Lego this. As you probably know from my previous videos, I have a real love-hate relationship with Lego. I don't like sorting loose Lego at all. I find it soul-destroyingly tedious. So I will only generally pick up sealed boxed sets now, which is sort of brand new type condition. And I've done well with some, I'm not going to lie. I sold a couple of Lego Friends sets early on that I picked up from a charity shop. I think I paid about 50 quid in total for these two sets, but sold them for about getting on for 200 quid altogether. So that was sort of a very early decent profit item for me. And more recently I've bought a Wally Lego Creator set for a tenner from a charity shop, and I think we sold that one for about 100 quid. So yeah, I have done well with Lego, but this was an early buy, not really knowing what I was looking at. So this was just a kind of part to a set that I don't think was overly popular in the first place anyway. So paid £2 at a car boot for this one, sold for £21.94 and made £5.64 after shipping and fees. 28th of June, Harley Davidson Tank Plush 2003 limited edition. I've just noticed I got purchase price owned on that one. I don't think it's meant to be owned. I think it's meant to be free because it came as part of a bundle where effectively there was so much stuff that in that bundle that I paid so little for that by the time I'd priced all of the more valuable items up for a cost price, I'd sort of run out of money when it came to some of the stuff like this. So I got a few free items, as I call them, out of a job lot. So yeah, that should be free, not owned. But yeah, Harley Davidson plushes. There is a reasonable collector's market for these as well. Again, they're not a huge profit item. They don't always sell very quickly. They're not all necessarily dead high value. But this is the second Harley Davidson plush I've sold now, and I have got another one listed as well. And so far, I've sold them all for what I've asked for them. And had no issues at all, so I'm guessing they can do okay. Yeah, owned this one, sorry, free this one. Sold for £21.94 and after shipping and fees made £14.62. 28th of June, Rage Game Strategy Guide. Game guides can do quite well as well for certain games. Always worth looking out for if you can pick them up for that sort of up to £1 level. You'll generally always see a bit of a return on them. You're not going to retire necessarily from selling second-hand game guides, but they do sell. This one sold exceptionally quickly as well. Actually, it sold after about, less than a week. Came out of the £65 bundle again, so it's another item with an 85p cost price. It does seem a bit mad seeing that cost me 85p effectively, and also that whole 7 seasons of Smallville were 85p, but that's how I worked it out on the bundle, as I say. Cost 85p, sold for £7.94, and after shipping and fees, made £2.33. Got positive feedback from the buyer as well on that one. 28th of June, this is another item from the £65 bundle. This was a Fastlane RC, which is a Toys R Us brand, remote control boat. Tested this in the bath, just up and down, just to make sure it kind of floated and moved under its own power, etc. It was fine. I didn't want to give it any more of a extensive test than that because it cost me so little and I wasn't going to be selling it for a huge amount of money. So as long as it was, in my mind, fit for purpose, then that'll do. Was a bit of an awkward one to pack because the inner inlay of the box was missing, so the boat and everything was rattling around in there. So there was a judicious application of bubble wrap and void fill materials, like screwed up newspaper and stuff. Anyway, cost 85p, sold for 22.94, and after shipping and fees made 14.64 on that one. 28th of June, still Camelot themed hardwood metal and chess set and board. Can't remember if this has been in a video or not previously, but this is a really nice quality chess set. It's 3 different colours of hardwood made up the board for the white squares, the black squares, and the actual border of the board itself. Felt backed as well. The pieces then were all on a hardwood base with a felt bottom, and they were all cast metal with what looked to be some sort of hand engraved details on them as well. So really, really nicely rendered. The box that they came in, that the pieces came in, all had an individual slot for each piece and stuff like that. So you could tell it was a really nicely, a definite quality set. Took a best offer on this one, which I think I must have taken late at night because I don't know that I would have necessarily gone this low with an offer on this item, but I do remember talking to the buyer for quite a little while. So yeah, purchase price was £18, bought from a charity shop, sold for £116.94, and after shipping and fees made £68.99 on that one. Really nice quality chess set, and definitely one that I'd look out for again. Mortal Kombat 3 for PlayStation 1 on the 29th of June. This again was bought as part of a bundle, but I kind of bought these other items from the same seller at a toy fair to sort of mitigate the price on a couple of other items that I was buying from him. So I managed to get sort of, what was it now? It was about 50 quid's worth of stuff for something around about £27 by the time I'd sort of said, what will you accept if I take this, 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 and this as well? So I took a couple of games, Mortal Kombat 3 and a Dragon Ball Z game as well. But it was mainly because I wanted a couple of these tin plate toys. I quite like them. I've got them listed at the moment. There's a dump truck, a tractor, and like a reverse steer Scarifier type thing. And that was just to kind of mitigate, to get the price of them down more than anything. So this does have a slightly higher cost price than I would necessarily want to pay for games, but it had the effect of bringing the prices down on a couple of other items that I've still got listed. So I was kind of messing around with mitigating prices that way a little bit. The other reason that I specifically picked up this at the time was because the new Mortal Kombat game had come out at that point as well. So yeah, it seemed like a topical one to sell. Bought for $7.50, sold for $24.95, made $11.23 after shipping and fees. Took a best offer on that one. Basically, they just wanted free postage on it, so that's what we did. And we had positive feedback from the buyer on that one too. 30th of June then, Baroque Ceramics Tube Line Ceramic Vase. This is another item from the £65 job lot. The name was stamped crystal clear on the bottom of it. I knew it was a modern thing. I didn't think I was sitting on some sort of gold mine or anything like that. I don't know anything about ceramics, but I knew enough to know that this was modern. The name was stamped quite clearly on the bottom of it, so I just went onto eBay and I typed in Baroque Ceramics Green Flower Vase, and sure enough, another one came up that somebody had listed. So I basically got all the information that I needed about it from their listing because they clearly knew what they were talking about. So I've learned now that this style of decoration is referred to as tube line, etc. So cost 85p, sold for £12.94, and after shipping and fees made £5.90 on that one. And yeah, that's the last item on the sales. I did mention in the first part of the video that we sold this lens, this Sigma Nikon macro lens, and we'd had positive feedback from the buyer when he received it. He was really happy with it, but under testing and under use, it's actually appears that it's faulty. Apparently it doesn't go into the macro mode properly, and it doesn't. There's something to do with an internal component that isn't moving as it should. I said to this chap, you know, by all means, test the lens for a few days, and if you can find a use for it beyond what we've sold it to you for, I'll happily give you half of the money back, or failing that, you're very welcome to return it for a full refund. So after a couple of days, went by, and we had a couple of messages back and forth in the meantime. He did get back to me and said, "Look, guys, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to return this lens." So I was quite prepared for that, and I thought on it for a little while, and came to the conclusion that the best course of action, rather than him send it back to me and me have to pay his return postage because it's effectively a faulty item, I'd just refund it and let him keep it. And if he found a use for it, great. If he didn't, he could bin it or, you know, put it in a charity shop or whatever. But rather than, because I was never going to get it repaired. I don't know anything about camera lenses or anything like that. It was something that was bought on a whim. So I was never going to get that repaired. I don't have any local camera shops. The chap himself, the buyer, he didn't have any local camera shops either because he lived quite out of the way in Scotland somewhere. So like I say, it took this decision just to refund that one, let him keep it. Now, the sort of good thing about this story, it didn't cost a lot, the lens. I think it was less than a £5 from what I remember off the top of my head. So I'm not out of pocket by a huge amount of money. I did get positive feedback from him, which still stands. So, you know, as I always say, if you're not making a lot of money on something, or even if you're having a small loss on something, if you've had that positive feedback out of it, sometimes it can be worth that. But the really nice thing was the message he sent afterwards. After we issued the refund, and I sent him the issue of I sent him the notification that he'd had the refund. This is the message received back, and he says, "Hi guys, thank you very much for your kind offer. The disappointment is," because I said to him, you know, apologies for any disappointment or inconvenience caused. He says, "The disappointment is very much soothed by the fact that 1, you've been very understanding, 2, your customer service is exemplary, and 3, knowing that there are genuine and kind people like yourselves out there who do the right thing by others. The circumstance is unfortunate, but it is just that, an unfortunate circumstance. You've been fantastic to deal with in this case. I wish you all the very best and will be sure to keep a weather eye out on your items in future, as you are definitely the kind of seller I want to support on here. Many thanks again, kind regards and warm wishes, George." That to me is fantastic. I love anything like that because it tells me that I am doing the right thing. You know, sometimes you're always going to have moments, anybody will have moments where you doubt yourself to a certain extent or to one extent or another. And every now and again something will come along that will just sort of reaffirm your belief in what you're doing and reaffirm the fact that, yeah, actually, you know, I am on the right track with this. I am treating people how I feel people as customers should be treated. And this is very much the case in point for that. You should always, customers will always get the same level of courtesy and respect and professionalism from me, whether they're making a basic inquiry about a product, whether they're buying something, whether they're asking to return something, whether they're complaining about something. And you have to run your business like that, you know. If you've got a business identity, I have a business identity on eBay. You know, I'm the Mad Tatter on there. We've got we're branded as the Mad Tatter and everything. You know, all of our listings are consistent and make mention of the Mad Tatter brand and everything in the listings. And I've got to kind of protect and uphold that professional image. People are coming to me above all of these other people out there selling the same thing, because none of us sell anything that's truly unique. Occasionally you might, yeah, definitely. But whatever you're selling at the moment, you can guarantee there's somebody else somewhere that's selling something similar or selling the same thing. So the fact that that customer has chosen your business or chosen you to purchase from above other people that they could have got the same item from. And price isn't always a factor. You know, I've said this before, I'm not always the cheapest on eBay on some of my items, but they still sell. So it's just all about providing that professional and courteous service to people. It's really important. I mean, if you're selling your own stuff as a private seller on eBay and you don't have a kind of, you know, you're not bothered about continuing with any sort of long-term selling on eBay and you want to talk to people however you want to talk to them, you're very welcome to do that, but I would strongly, strongly advise against doing anything like that in a business perspective. I mean, I'll give you an example from me. I can't stand, like, when I was working for other people, and I was working in sort of retail premises and sales environments and stuff like that. Based in the northwest of England, there's an expression people use to get your attention, and it's effectively, "Yeah, mate." Now, that translates to "here you are, mate," and it effectively means "excuse me." They can't say "excuse me," or "excuse me," or "hello," or anything like that. You just get from generally across your forecourt or across your shop or whatever, you'll just hear this voice of "yeah, mate." And I can't stand that in person. But in a professional environment, when I'm working, you just have to let it gloss over you. Similarly with eBay, when people contact me in sort of text speak and, you know, really poor sentence structure and stuff like that. You know me, I talk a lot, and language is something that I really like. But they write to me in you know, you get a message sometimes and you struggle to decipher it. You struggle to actually understand what people are on about, and you actually, you know, I found myself sometimes Googling some of the terms that people have actually used in messages just because I'm not down with the kids enough to understand it. But they still get the same level of courtesy and professionalism from me on eBay, and I still talk to them like I would talk to any other customer. You know, it's just about that consistency and that sort of respect for your own brand image and your own identity as a seller as well as respect for the people that are buying from you. You know, I don't want to... If somebody came talking to me in a sort of slangy and kind of street way, and I then dumbed down what I was trying to get across because my sort of back of my mind is saying because they talk a certain way, they're not necessarily as intelligent. They might be more intelligent than me. They might have degrees in this, that, the other, and everything, and that's just the way they talk because of where they've been raised. So you can't make assumptions and things like that either based on how people contact you, talk. I might be making really obvious statements here to people, and I might be making things sort of, you know, yeah, of course you treat everybody equally, but there are businesses out there who don't, and I've heard accounts, granted second-hand accounts, but I've heard accounts of people who've got really irate with customers wanting to return items and stuff like that, and wanting, you know, they've got sweary and personal with them and stuff, and you just think, my God, what are you doing? It's like career suicide. If this is what you want to carry on doing, and you want to carry on being an online reseller or an eBay reseller, and you're talking to people like this, you're going to be booted off eBay in no time flat, and they do boot people off for being abusive. So, yeah, just a little aside into kind of the importance of customer service and the importance of working with your customers when there's an issue, to try and get to... You know, as I say, I tried to sort of go down the route of giving him a partial refund and letting him keep the item, which he would have been more than happy with, had it not been quite as faulty as I expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be faulty at all, in all honesty, when I sent it to the guy, but when he said about this issue, I expected that to be the only issue, and he maybe could have got some other use out of the lens, but alas, no. Anyway, so the total cost of the stock you've seen in the first part of this video and this part of the video, total cost of those items was £238.53. Total value of sales for June 2019 was £2,240.50, and total profit after shipping, fees and deduction, the deduction in this case being the refund obviously for the lens, total profit there was £137,154. So the total money that we're actually left with after eBay fees, etc., if you like, and after shipping, if you add that to that, that is effectively what was kind of cash in hand, but obviously we take off the fees, the cost of the items. Quick look at the advertising performance, promoted listings. Got 2 campaigns running at the moment because trying one on a slightly lower rate and actually not noticing too much of a negative impact. The same sort of volume of sales seem to be coming through from the advertising. We're only talking 0.5% here, the difference, but it all adds up in the long run. So spent £9.26 on advertising this month, which sold 26 items altogether for a total of £921.75. So very happy with that for advertising performance. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, quick update on reselling from scratch. Ready to start filming those videos soon. The format it's going to take, I'm going to make the sort of, if you like, main quote-unquote presentation video. So there's going to be, say, a part on getting yourself ready to start reselling and having things in place like your storage ideas and your postage kits and stuff like that, and just all the kind of basic stuff that you'll need before you get started, and going into some of the ideas of mindset and things like that, and how to use your experience and knowledge in things that you're interested and passionate about to start selling straight away, rather than having to learn about the things that you might have heard a YouTuber say sells, or you might have read on a forum is a good seller or something like that, but you've got no interest or passion in. You can use your knowledge. So we're going to go into things like that. Then there's going to be a part where I'll go around a couple of charity shops. I think I've got one on board already who are quite happy for me to film in there, and then potentially another two. So I'll be able to get around a couple of different charity shops and film in there, talk you through why I would and wouldn't pick up a couple of different items in there. And then we'll buy some items for the purposes of the series. Then I'll do another video, similar sort of concept, but around a car boot. Buy a couple of items from there as well. Then we'll do a video on preparing the items, testing them, cleaning them, doing all of those sorts of bits and pieces. Once they're all ready for sale, we'll then do a video on photographing and listing and all the bits and pieces that go with creating your eBay listings and categories and stuff like that. And then we'll, obviously, when those items sell, there'll be a sales roundup for those items individually. What I'm planning to do is, for instance, I'll upload the reselling from scratch video on a Monday, and then on the following Sunday, what I'll try to do is have a live YouTube doodad. What do they call it? Stream. That's the word. I'll do a live stream, and you'll be able to sort of fire me any questions or any feedback or comments or anything about anything from the video prior to that, and we'll do it on a bit of a kind of, just a chilled out, having a chat type format. And if you want to ask me any questions about me or whatever as well, my background or anything like that, you'll have the opportunity to do all that too. But it'll be a good way to sort of get some immediate feedback. If you've got any issues or anything, any queries or anything off the back of watching the main video, by all means, you're always welcome to leave a comment on these things. But sometimes I can't always get across the point in a comment. If you've got extra, sometimes it's better to have a conversation rather than just kind of me type an answer to you, if that makes sense. So I think it'd be better to be able to do stuff like that after each video. So that's my plan on the format of it. And that will be coming, that'll be the next videos I upload now. So that gives me between now and the 15th, 16th, when the first part of July's sales roundup's due. So that gives me between now and then to get the first part of this video up. So there we go, guys. That, I think, should be everything. I can't remember from the other day. Yeah, it is. That's great. So that's everything for today, guys. Thank you so much for sitting with me again and going through all these items. If you did like the video, please leave me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, do feel free to leave a thumbs down. But please by no means thumb and run. Do leave your comments down below. Let me know what you did like, what you didn't like, so I can improve or maintain as necessary. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel and want to see more content and get in tune with the Reselling from Scratch series, please do feel free to subscribe and give the bell icon there just a little tickle in the corner, so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.